The Will Grant, welcome back to another chat with Will Grant. Look at all
Live and it's recording.
we are recording and people are flowing in. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late, ladies and gentlemen. Will was giving me his intentions, and we got all excited, and I totally lost track of time. So my
Yeah.
bad on that.
Oh, we should have just jumped on early and let them hear it.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we let them hear it? Well, those were incredible intentions that got me excited about today. So yeah, share with the audience what you told me. I thought that was magic.
Well, a lot of people have seen that I've wrote about it before, and I've mentioned in a lot of my videos that when I start my day, or really before I want to start anything, I do two things: is I stop and just connect to the things that I'm grateful for, and I think that just helps to really turn my energy to a positive energy, and it helps me, see the opportunity within every single moment, and it just brings out my best to bring out other people's best. So I like to connect with the things that I'm grateful for, and I like to set an intention, because before I do anything, we have to know why we're doing it, and that keeps us on the right track. On top of it, makes it more purposeful, more intentional. If we go about our days knowing what we're trying to get out of the day, it makes it more likely to happen. So before I got on here, that I was just sharing with Edwin, I wrote down three things that I'm grateful for, and three of my intentions for today, and I can read them off. One is, I'm grateful for another beautiful day to enjoy and play on this earth, because this earth is just a beautiful playground that we're all fed, and we're all able to breathe, and we're all alive. Everything past that is just a bonus, and it's good to realize that. And another thing that I'm grateful for is to be able to connect with people all over the world, to help them become happier, healthier, fuller versions of themselves. And I think it's so cool to have a platform like this, to where we can really connect with people all over the world, and, and share each other's insights and learn from each other, so we can all evolve. Like, this is a beautiful form of pollination, and that's what brings the fruits. And the third thing is funny, because, just getting my energy aligned with what we're talking about today, is I'm grateful for my breath. My breath has been probably the biggest teacher in my life, and it has been the biggest teacher about myself. It has taught me to master my thoughts, my moods, my immune system, and taking control of my breath has allowed me to take control of my life, because our breath is our doorway in, and to understand all these things and to master all these things that are going on in our mind, our breath is that walkway there, and it's right there, and it's free, and it's available to every single one of us to start to learn how to manage ourselves and manage our systems. And my three intentions, I'll go through them quick so we can get on with the show, is today I intend to be the absolute best version of myself to date. I believe every day we should try to be better versions of ourselves, and I set a direct intention today of, this is the best version of myself that I'm giving to the world today, my best. And I believe that, I truly do, that I've never felt so good mentally. I've never felt so good physically. I've never been in such a, like a high solid state, and, just align with my intentions and my biggest purpose. And I'm excited to really serve and give that to the world. My other intention is to lift up and to bring high positive energy to every single person that I connect with. And that's you, Edwin. That's everybody on this webinar. That's for the people who I meet later. I want to bring that energy that brings out their best selves, so we can create something beautiful in this world. And my third one is, I intend to give my best to the people who have joined this podcast, to show them that, we all have the power within ourselves to be happy, healthy, strong. And, it's just a practice to be able to connect with ourselves, to understand ourselves, to master our thoughts and our moods, and our anxieties and our immune system. We can direct our energy towards the things we really care about. We just have to learn how to master our energy. And our breath is the way to do it. And I'm excited to show people how to almost surrender into their best self.
Surrender. That is something we have all had to step into, not necessarily with joy, but with quarantine. We're having to surrender something outside of our control, and now we're alone with ourselves. And man, that's uncomfortable for a few people.
Yeah, but what makes us uncomfortable is that's where the opportunity is. You know, when I find myself something getting me uncomfortable, if it's a person, a conversation, a word, something, I like to sit with that. you know,
Yeah.
and to see what part of my ego that rubs, and then that's another beautiful way to understand ourselves, is to just, notice and be aware of what makes us uncomfortable, and notice what limitations is that touching that we could learn from and break down those barriers.
Oh, that's great, Will. Well, look, we've got a lot of people in the participant list, so that's fantastic. I'm looking at you. I want to remind you guys, this is a live webinar where you can interact with Will and ask a ton of questions. So there is a Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen on Zoom. Stick your questions there for me so I can kind of keep track and knock those out. Today, we're talking all things breath related. So if you have questions about anything else, we'll give you a way to communicate with Will at the end of the show so that you can ask those questions. But today's all about breath. If you have a general comment that you would like to make, there's a chat room available too that you can just make comments back and forth. Heather is saying why can't we see you guys? Look, if you can see us, will you put a thumbs up in the chat box so that I can just make sure? I believe we're transmitting, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it says it's transmitting on my side.
And I see us transmitting on this side. Yeah, I'm seeing some thumbs up. So yeah, Heather, it might be a video issue on your end. You could maybe leave the webinar and come back in. Maybe that'll reset it for you. Sorry, Heather. At least you can hear us, I hope. And we'll add as much value to you that way too. So thank you, guys. Before we get started, Will, I want to ask the participants on the call if they've been here before. So I'm just going to put up a quick poll. If this is your first chat with Will Grant, we've had 3 previous to this. This is our 4th. So if you've been here every single time, let us know. If you've only made a couple, or if this is your first visit, let us know. And that'll kind of help Will shape his message moving forward. So Will, it looks like over 60% of the group is here for the first time.
Oh, that's sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of newbies here to introduce to chat with Will Grant. So that's awesome.
That is really cool. Yeah, so this is the first one that is all breath work focused, but we definitely touched a lot on breath in the first 3 episodes. So if they did miss the first 3 episodes, just go over to my YouTube channel, and there's a whole playlist there of the chat with willgrant.coms, and you're welcome to catch up. But I'm excited and grateful for you guys to be here. Welcome.
Yeah, Will, could I ask him another question real quick before we get started?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to give us some idea of what your goals are out there. What are you working on right now? I've put a bunch of things on the screen for you that cover the health, fitness, and nutrition arena. I know you're here today for breath, but what else are you working on? I'm curious because we want to help you solve your problems moving forward. And this is really helpful information to help us shape the conversation.
And the stuff that I create as well,
Yeah, absolutely. We love to solve problems. Is that fair to say, Will?
Yeah, I mean, I put a lot of energy, I would say almost most of my energy and attention in finding what type of strengths and gifts and, innate abilities that I have to devote towards, the problems of the people, like how we can all come up, and how I can contribute to, the species, the whole planet, and so it's cool to actually be able to connect with everybody and see what kind of stuff we're working on together,
Oh, I love it. So Will, it looks like I'm going to end the poll. People could make, multiple selections here, pick as many as they want, but it looks like gain muscle, get stronger is of value to people. A lot of people talking about mindset. I need all things mindset related. So those.
Well, they came to the right place, huh?
They came to the right place. The third is master meditation. And then probably rounding out the top 4 is enhancing mobility. So, wow, y'all are definitely in the right place with the master of all of that. I did want to make a comment to Heather. Heather, if for some reason you still can't see us, don't forget this will be recorded. And we will make it available on Will Grant's YouTube channel. So don't worry, you'll be able to see us eventually. But if you can still hear us and want to ask questions, please do through this process, Heather. I don't want to leave you out if you just can't see us. So awesome, Will. Well, look, my comment earlier was real, Will. I think I have run into a lot of people recently who, in this time of quietness and silence, have found out that they were really defined by everything they did out in the world, everything they were achieving and working on and their titles. And now that they're all alone, they've become a little uncomfortable in the silence and quietness and figuring out, well, what am I supposed to be doing with this time if I can't do anything and I'm uncomfortable with myself? And wow, breath is such a centering exercise. Can we kind of start there on why you're doing it and why it can be of value to people at this particular unique moment in time?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I got into it because I was in that exact same position that you just described. But instead of the corona, keeping us all inside, my body and my mind was just breaking down. I was 24, 25 years old, a professional athlete, where I put all the value in myself on what I could physically do and what I physically looked like. And then all of a sudden, my body and mind just started falling apart. I was having pains in my body all the way from my ankles to my knees, my hips, my back, my neck. I was in so much pain, I was having trouble sleeping at night. And then my leg broke, my knee literally exploded and cracked my femur. And they were not sure if I was ever going to really walk again without pain. And I was stuck in the house. But I was stuck in the house for, really a bit over a year, where I couldn't leave the house. I couldn't really do anything. I had to just, I went through a really serious surgery on my knee, and then I was getting it pumped with stem cells, and I had to just let this thing regrow back and reheal. And, that's when I kind of started the journey, because everything that I put value in myself, I lost. All of a sudden I lost all the muscles and I couldn't even walk. So I was in a really low place where I was just lost. I felt powerless. I had no control over my life. Everything that I put my energy and effort into just pretty much crashed down and exploded around me. And I was just stuck with nothing. And then I realized I put everything into this physical aspect of myself, and I couldn't do anything physical but just lay and heal. And then I kept hearing things around me about meditation, about how meditation was like exercise, but for the mind. But I had a hard time getting a practice of it. And then that's when my brother told me about this Wim Hof breathing. And I did, he talked me through on FaceTime, kind of like this, but he talked me through 3 rounds, and that's like a full session. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And for the first time since I was a kid, I just felt really good. My mind, that constant mental chatter that was this evil talk that was always putting me down, and that was, all this anxiety and all this depression and all these bad thoughts, they were gone. And I just felt really good inside my own body. And that's when I told myself, I don't know what happened, but I just got a glimpse of what I was supposed to feel like. And then I just began, I told myself I was going to do this every day till I don't know how long. And it's been about 3 years since I've been doing some sort of breath work every day, just stopping and starting that process of mastering myself, and connecting with my breath and connecting with myself. And that's gotten me into all my control centers to start to understand and regulate and control things like my mood and my energy systems and my anxiety. So one, I'm aware as soon as my energy or my thoughts are going somewhere that doesn't serve me. I'm more aware than I've ever been in my life. It's funny, I told one of my best friends like 6 months ago, I said, for the first time in my life, when I walk outside, I hear birds chirp, because before I had so much mental chatter and so much constant thought in my head that I was so, I lacked so much presence that I couldn't even hear the birds chirping around me, or the beautiful blue sky, or, like the green on the leaves, or just, the beauty all around me, because I was stuck in my head. And then the more I just connected with my breath and got into this, I start to understand and master my thoughts and master my emotions and really connect to my deepest self with breath work.
Oh my gosh, Will, there's
That was a lot. That was a lot.
That was a lot. Wow. Okay. When I say why, Will really takes that to heart. So Yeah, well, I guess I appreciate that presence is a problem for all of us. The amount of input that we're getting through all our senses today really drowns out a lot of opportunity for presence. And I heard it earlier on an interview I was doing this morning, the word surrender. That how often do we actually surrender to silence and peace and presence? And I would argue not enough. Is that fair?
I mean, I think that is the trick. Like we have to understand that we're in control of ourselves, and that's pretty much about it. But we have to surrender to the things that are all around us. Like we have to surrender into our life. And this is more of a dance with our days, a dance with our universe. It's not just us forcing, and thinking. We have to be co-creators with our environment. We are only in control of ourselves. And that's the beautiful thing about breath is we learn how to control ourselves, and the more that we can control our thoughts and our emotions and our mood and even our immune system, then the more that we can direct towards the things that are truly important to us. And, that's the key to that fulfilling, beautiful, full life.
So Finn is asking, is this a practical session or theory based? We're talking about both. Is that
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to be talking some science here in just a few minutes about what is breathing and breath and how it's regulated. And then Will's going to take us through some steps, right?
Yeah. I'm super excited about that. Yeah. So I'm just, explaining a bit on my experience and, what got me into it and why I do it and why I'm excited to share. And then, Edwin came with a bunch of awesome studies and science, and then we're going to get into the practice.
Yeah, this is going to be a cold front meeting a hot front, and we're going to create some storms around breathing. I guess what got me curious, Will, when listening to you over the past 3 years talk about breath, is that I know I take breathing for granted. I know it's going to happen, hopefully, without my thinking. It's part of the autonomic nervous system that takes control of my breath and regulates it really as I need. I'm not having to consciously think about it. But I read a book just recently called Just Breathe by Dan Brule. And we'll get into that book in a little bit. But bringing breath from unconscious awareness to conscious awareness is a big leap that probably takes the most initial effort, is in getting control of your breath and making it do and create the outcome that you desire.
Yeah, 100%. I couldn't have said it better myself. And, taking control over that conscious breath is kind of like taking conscious control over our lives because, our breathing patterns are based on our lives. Like when we get stressed, we start to breathe a certain way automatically. When we get sad or angry, we start to breathe a certain way automatically. But when we take conscious control, or even stress, anxiety, and that's everything from just, maybe it's some trauma that's in the past that keeps coming up, or someone just cutting you off, or your kids yelling, or, jobs calling, that's stress. But when we can take conscious control over our breath, we can take conscious control over that moods and change our breathing from a stressed type of breathing that is telling every cell in our body to fight for our life, and that activates that sympathetic system, that fight or flight. Or we can just adjust our breathing patterns, but we have to first come conscious of it and then put ourselves in more into this relaxed state where we can surrender into that moment and really see things as clear as possible, so we're able to give our best to the moment, and we're able to make our best decisions. And that's when we're able to create. That's when we're able to heal. That's when we're able to be our best selves, is when we're in this calm, relaxed state. Because when there's all this tension, and that stress, that's when the inflammation is going crazy. We're too busy fighting for our lives to really see what the big picture is and what's really going on around us. So just to stop and connect with our breath and just let things slow down a little bit gives us such a clear perspective, one, of that single moment, but of ourselves. And then we can steer our energy in whichever way we want. That's the beautiful thing. Like if you had complete control over how you feel, wouldn't you want to feel really good?
Absolutely.
And I'm saying that we have that control, and of course there's always going to be things that knock us down, But the thing is, the more we practice this, the stronger we get, and the more that we can handle and the better that we can overcome. And that correlates to being, that's the more successful we're going to be in every single area. If that's financially, if that's relationships, if that's just emotionally with yourself, the more you can handle, the happier and more successful you're going to be.
I love it. Will, I'm going to share with everybody a graph. Let me know if you can see this. So are you seeing a diagram on your screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So let me explain a little bit about some of the foundations of what Will just talked about. So when we're going through our typical day, breathing in, breathing out, we can easily measure that when we go to a physician or respiratory therapist. We can do a lot of measurements to assess the amount of air that you have available to work with. So when Will was saying taking control of your breath, what I think he's talking about is instead of letting that automagic, that autonomic tidal volume graph that you see right there, the smaller waves there going up and down, that is just our normal breathing pattern of breathing in and breathing out without thinking. The smaller that is, so if you can imagine those peaks and valleys shrinking, so the waves are becoming smaller, our breath is becoming more shallow, and our ability to oxygenate our bloodstream becomes a little bit more difficult. And the only way to make that better is to increase the rate at which we breathe. So when Will is on YouTube in these breathing videos, what he's doing is expanding beyond just our tidal volume, and he is really expanding his inspiratory reserve volume. That's the big tall peak that you see right there in the middle of the graph. And when he blows out all of his air, he is increasing, believe it or not, his expiratory reserve volume. So the wider that you can get the top of that inspiratory reserve, meaning at the peak of your inhale to the bottom of your exhale, that impacts your total lung capacity. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is take control of the amount of air, and i.e. oxygen, that we make available to our body to do some amazing things that Will is going to tell us about. So yeah. Will, I know you've talked.
One thing I want to point out first is, like, during the day in normal breathing, we actually shouldn't be breathing really heavy and like that's like getting in your car and hitting that gas all the way down. It is good once a day to get that exercise, to get that full range of motion and to open up those lungs, and that's what I do in the Wim Hof breathing every morning. But during the day, during normal stress of life, like in normal everyday life, we want to be breathing actually really light and controlled and calm, but when we are stressed, our body automatically starts going and taking those big breaths. But that's actually when we want to take our breath and then start letting it become calmer and slower and just a lot more calm and relaxed. And that's what's going to relax our whole entire system to be able to see what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of that graph we use to try to figure out respiratory dysfunction. So if you have asthma, for instance, I'm a pharmacist by education. I'm very interested in knowing if the medicines are working. And the only way I know is by looking at improvements in lung capacity. And so we look at all these numbers, and some are calculated, some are measured, but it gives us an overall picture of how effective drug therapy is. Yeah. What if you have been a smoker, or you've had lung damage and you now have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease or emphysema? Pulmonary function tests and these numbers are a great way to measure progress and significance of disease. And I think what's interesting here, Will, and I have a lot of data here to support, is how conscious breathing can alter disease processes.
Yeah.
And we've thought about that. I mean, if you look at the Buddhist and Taoist and all of
They've
those.
been talking about it for a long time,
They've been
haven't they?
talking about it forever, but nobody could prove it. It was
Yeah.
more of this secondary feeling that you were
Yeah.
getting better, but we had no objective measure.
And I think it's really been like the past, since I've seen 5-10 years where they've really been putting this stuff into science and really starting to study of how, like, what we thought was this automatic system that we had no control over. Now that it's been proven, like with the studies from, that they're even doing with Wim Hof, he's put it to science. So they took out the speculation that we have control to go into these automatic systems like our immune system and like our breathing systems and all of that. And it's really pretty amazing.
All right. Well, Will, I know a lot of people want some practical application here because, I do have some science and I do want to share it with you, but I think people are wanting to do something. That's what I'm feeling from the group.
Yeah.
So, but what do you say you walk them through a simple breathing technique while
Okay.
they're all listening here?
Okay. Yeah. Easy, actually. So most of us, I would say over 80% of us are actually just breathing wrong and really, really bad. Um, that's the bad news. But the good news is we can actually relearn to breathe in just 3 to 5 minutes. And pretty much all babies are born breathing perfectly. They're breathing through their nose and through their diaphragm or their whole stomach. And then as we get about 5 years old and we start sitting 13 to 16 hours a day and we start eating a bunch of processed foods and we start getting stressed, that's when we begin to mouth breathe and breathe these short, shallow breaths just through our chest. And most of us actually lose the connection with breathing through our stomach. So one thing that I recommend to do is you can do this laying down or just sitting down and try to straighten up your spine, as tall as you can. Like if there's a string and someone's just pulling that string all the way up, okay? And then just close your mouth and put one hand on your stomach and one hand on your chest. And begin to take in nice, slow inhales through your nose with only raising the hand on your stomach. And then slowly exhale, keeping the mouth closed, and continue to take in nice, slow, deep breaths while only feeling that hand on your stomach and keeping that chest still. And keep doing that a few more times. And just this practice here, we can do for 3 to 5 minutes. And then you're training your body to learn how to breathe from the best places all the way down where you're able to get the most out of each one of your breaths. And you're teaching yourself how to, again, breathe through your diaphragm. And that's what is going to push down all of your internal organs and wring those out and get that stagnant blood and oxygen out of there and going to give you that fresh stuff. And now let's take a few more, just filling up that whole entire stomach. Try to fill up the sides, try to fill up the back all the way up. And then exhale nice and slow. And on that exhale, try to focus on relaxing your shoulders and relaxing your whole body.
So this is breathe in and out through your nose. The mouth, just don't consider it right now.
Mouth is closed.
Okay.
And then inhale again, slowly pulling your whole entire stomach, expanding your whole stomach, all the way up, all the way up. And then as you exhale, really focus on just relaxing your body, almost surrendering. All the way out, keep going, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come in, keeping that mouth closed, filling up your whole entire stomach, all the way up. And then slowly let it out and let your whole body just relax into this moment. Keep exhaling, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then slowly inhale, just moving the hand on your stomach. And then move the hand on your chest. And then exhale. And keep doing that rhythm where you're filling up your whole stomach. And then you're filling up your chest. And then you're exhaling. Keeping that mouth closed, just learning how to breathe through your nose, okay? And just that process of learning how to expand your stomach and differentiate from your stomach and from your chest is gonna have you breathing 1,000,000 times better throughout the day. And this is how to take control of your automatic system to now you just activated your parasympathetic system, your rest and digest, to where your digestive system can turn on. And when you put your mind towards your breath, it's putting you in that moment. All that anxiety and all that stress and all that worry is in the past or in the future. When you put your mind towards your breath, it's bringing you to right now. And just take control of, getting those good nourishing breaths all the way down, and then let it go.
All right, so Will, got some questions just to add to this. Is there I know you were counting by 5. Is that a good pace, whether you're breathing nice and calm like this, or whether you're taking the big inhales and exhales? What's the consideration of pace? And then there's even a comment by Finn as well. The chest keeps wanting to rise instead of the diaphragm.
Exactly. Okay, who said that?
Our friend Finn.
Finn. So that's what's natural, is we're always breathing. And when you breathe through your chest unconsciously, that is literally telling your whole body to fight for its life and to stress, and it activates all of your anxiety and all of your thoughts and all of that. And it takes practice. Like, it's an everyday practice. I mean, it doesn't have to be every day. I recommend it, but it's a practice to learn how to breathe through your stomach again. And as you learn how to breathe through your stomach, you'll learn how to regulate your stress, because you'll realize that, that stress and the chest breathing, it's just this loop that's feeding itself. And to jump out of that anxiety and that loop, just to take those slow, controlled breaths. And you asked about pace, and I believe that's what you're looking for. Like, if you find yourself stressed and anxiety of that overthinking and going too fast, you want to increase those, increase that pace. So 8 seconds, real slow in and real slow out, to slow down the body and to bring it to that present moment. And that's the beautiful thing, is when you bring your mind to the present moment, you cannot think about breathing and think about whatever's causing you anxiety at the same time. It's either one or the other. So when you take your focus towards your breath, all of a sudden, just practice feeling good with your breath, slowing that whole system down. And that's when you'll really be able to process what is causing you anxiety. And when you're able to process it, then you're able to deal with it and then manage it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've mentioned before about the app on your watch. The Breathe app is a good timer for pace. Can we go through it with you, just counting off for us the inhale and the exhale without any description, just to get people through 2 full minutes of breathing, just like you described? So count us off on the inhale, the holds if necessary, or the exhales, and I'll time us.
Yeah, sure. Oh, you'll time it or I'll time it?
I'll time it, and you just help people be mindful of the belly versus the chest.
Okay. All right. So let's go back to kind of how we were. You can do this lying down too, and just get into a comfortable position. Sit cross-legged. One of the most important things is trying to keep in that spine nice and straight, because that's one, if you're crunched up, it's going to block all those airways and that blood flow. So open up and let them rivers flow. And start straightening out that spine. You let me know when to start, Edwin.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, and then just begin putting your attention towards your breath, keeping your mouth closed, taking normal inhales and normal exhales, and just find a nice, easy rhythm with your breathing. And then you're putting your attention on consciously trying to breathe through your stomach. If you want to put your hand on your stomach, you can, but find that nice rhythm of just raising that hand on your belly and then exhaling. Nice, slow, controlled breaths. Don't worry about the pace yet. Just find what's comfortable. And you want to use every single one of those exhales to relax a little bit more into your seat. And then you inhale, fill up that body with oxygen, and then exhale, relaxing the tension in your face, relaxing the tension in your neck. Just let your body surrender into that spot. Take a nice, good inhale and really consciously put an effort into enjoying each one of these breaths. Let these breaths be that grounding experience that takes you into the right now. And then exhale and release. And now let's go 5 seconds in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go 7 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5-second pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seconds out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then a 7-second hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Wow. What did y'all think? Send us some comments over in the chat room. What worked, what didn't work, what was awkward, what felt good, what felt bad. I'd love to get some feedback from you guys. So head over to the chat room and let us know how that was just 2 minutes of time. Wow, I was getting into the groove right about 2 minutes. I needed some more time.
And a huge part of it is actually trying not to think too much. We don't need to be thinking or putting thoughts or labels on everything all the time. Just feel what it feels like. Let the mind settle and just feel the sensations of the breath and feel it inhaling and feel how you can literally teach yourself to relax with your breath. We're using our breath to relax and to turn on our immune system and to turn on our gut and to, turn off our stressors. So a lot of it is just feeling and, almost just being the observer with the whole process.
Getting some good comments. Will Cameron saying, yeah, I'm feeling a bit more grounded around it. Head is feeling some good sensations. Austin saying that was Om chant. So I've heard chanting go along with this kind of meditative breathing. Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I haven't gone too deep into the chanting, but I know when you're adding in those vibrational, I'm not sure the science or even the true understanding of it, but when you add in that, it just makes it more exaggerated, it exemplifies that whole process. So I believe you're able to go deeper faster by, and then it's another thing to put your attention on and put your focus on. And those vibrations in your body is just like vibrating your whole energy systems, which is, it's so good for you.
Yeah, Finn is saying he felt instantly calmer. Would love to know how this would fit into a strength and conditioning session. So breathing before workout, after workout. What's your MO?
So before a workout, I actually do a different type of breathing where I'm charging my body up. And then, so one of my favorite things to do that I do before every breathing session, every workout, every training session, every practice day, every game day, is I'll do a round of the Wim Hof breathing, but instead of the holding and you're sitting still, I'll hold and do max push-ups, as many as you possibly can. And that just supercharges your whole body. It wakes up all the cells in your whole system, and it just connects your mind with your body. But during the actual working out process, I'm trying to keep my mouth closed and trying to control my breathing with my movements. So I'm trying to connect my breath with the way that I move, and I'm breathing as I move. So if it's this movement, and I'm just using my breath to assist those movements and to assist those energy systems. But it takes practice, and that's why exercise is so good for us, because it's connecting us with our breath as well. And that's going from weight training to even just going for a jog around the park. The more that you can control your breath, the more that you'll be able to control the movements.
Yeah, so I've heard some people say that, well, with strength and conditioning, I have to hold my breath, or I'm going to hold my breath on the push because it's more powerful. What do you say to stopping breathing?
I think you're going to be surprised, but I think breath holds are actually one of the healthiest things that we can do. Like 100%, because when you're securing your whole base, the best case scenario is learning how to core brace while breathing, but that takes practice of becoming an expert breather, but if you're not I guess, an expert breather, it's, you know, that's going to keep that core tight and being able to push. But once you improve your ability to breathe, you'll actually be able to lift more while breathing with your movements. But I mean, I know, because on big heavy squats and on big heavy deadlifts, you have to get that full tense in there to make sure, you know, because you're, you know, when you take that big breath in, especially through the diaphragm, that's your, you know, your structure that you're holding that tight and secure and safe, you know. But breath holds are really one of the healthiest things that we can be doing. It teaches our body to do more with less, you know, almost like, compare a Prius to a big gas guzzling excursion. You know, we want to be efficient with our breathing. We don't want to be doing this deep Wim Hof breathing all day, just like the way we can't be sprinting through our whole days. You know, we have to have training and exercise that's a short 30-minute session, but throughout our days, we want to be relaxed and calm, you know, and in a controlled state where our mouth is closed and we're having a nice controlled type of breathing.
Yeah. Wow. So some people are having trouble exhaling and getting their body to relax. So how do you wiggle in on the exhale into relaxation?
That's a practice. That is a
Okay.
practice. And when you learn that, you know, and whoever says that, I promise you, if you give yourself 10 minutes a day, tops for 7 days, you'll learn how to do it. You know, and that's the beautiful thing, because when you learn how to do this, you'll be able to relax into any sort of stress. Okay. So when somebody is calling you, you know, if your boss is calling you, if your kids are yelling, you know, if your bills are late, you'll learn how to relax into that being, into that moment, and being able to give that best a decision, because you'll be able to use your breath to relax. Because every time we're stressed, it doesn't matter what type of stress, if it's physical or emotional, we tense our body. Everything starts to tense up, especially in here. And it takes practice, not a lot, say 10 minutes a day for a week, to learn how to use those exhales to just relax into what is.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get it with just 2 minutes of practice, you know, just like you're not going to get clean teeth if you only brush your teeth one time. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. But you have to practice learning how to relax and learning how to be, and learning how to be your best self every day.
Oh, that's awesome. So our friend Tulin is saying, so to clarify, I know we're kind of mixing breathing techniques.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I'm not directing you any better than that, but they're making sure, can I inhale with my nose and exhale with my mouth with Wim Hof breathing technique, or just through the mouth?
Yeah, you can. With that Wim Hof breathing technique, you know, the goal is just to get as much oxygen as possible, taking it in. But I do want to point out something. If you just take 30 big, deep breaths and go about your day, that's not good. You're just going to like get your whole system and chemistry and gases all out of balance, right? Those breath holds are extremely important. Those breath holds are what is going to rebalance your chemistry and rebalance your whole system. So you can breathe in through your nose, breathe in through your mouth, whatever you're feeling comfortable with. Just breathe and practice stretching those lungs and expanding everything you got and letting it out. And then after those 30 breaths, you want to let it out and hold. And you want to hold and observe. And that's when you really be able to connect with yourself, because you just turned everything on. Now everything wants to speak. Now it's the time to. So that breath is your doorway into your control centers. On that breath hold, you're into your control centers, okay? Then that's when you could just sit back and observe, and being able to see what comes up and see what your tendencies are and see the way your normal thinking is. I think something that's interesting is when I was first starting to do this every single day, I was timing my breath holds. And I was writing it down every day in my sketchbook to see what my breath holds were, to understand what was making me have really good breath holds and what was making me not have really good breath holds. So essentially starting to understand how my brain performs. And I was starting to learn that the more I relaxed and the more I surrendered, obviously the longer my breath holds were. You know, like the more, if I went to hold my breath and I was thinking like, oh no, I'm holding my breath, this is stressful, this is uncomfortable, I couldn't hold my breath very long. And I began to practice how to relax, because the more that you can relax, the longer that you can hold your breath. And the more that you can build that resistance to that carbon dioxide, the better you're going to be able to handle stress, and the better your body's going to be able to take in oxygen. So, and then I started learning like of how my brain was working. So when I started focusing, oh, I got to hold my breath for 2 minutes. I got to hold my breath for 2 minutes. I wasn't holding my breath very long because I was focused so much on the result. But if I just focused on being in that moment and listening to the birds chirp and, and letting my body just relax and letting what comes up, and those regular thinking patterns that always talk us down or talk us up, they'll come up. And then just notice those, let those be, and come back into the present moment. And you're starting to understand what normally comes up and how your brain normally works and what your tendencies are. And then when you start to understand what's going on up there, then that's when you're going to be able to rewire and control what's going on up there.
Yeah, so we're talking time. In 2 minutes, you can't really get the full benefit of what we're talking about here. You do 15, 20 minutes every day for 20 days. Let's come back and have this conversation and go, what's new and different?
Yeah, but what's beautiful, Edwin, is I promise you, if you spend, you'll notice at the end of this webinar, you're going to feel more relaxed and good because we're doing breathing exercises. If you spend 5 minutes breathing, you'll feel immediately better after that, right?
Okay.
But it's like any habit, it's that compound effect. So when you go in a little bit more the next day, then your days are a little bit better. And to make your days 5-10% better, or to make your decision making every day like 15% better, that's when these benefits really start to compound, because you're going to begin mastering yourself. Because once you get past that first layer, because the first layer is that constant monkey brain, that mental chatter. And if you only do it one time, you'll get past that and it'll feel really good for a few minutes. But once you do this on a consistent basis, that's when you'll start to really master things like your moods and your happiness, because you're into your control centers. To control your happiness is learning how to control your hormones. To control your health is learning how to control your immune system. And to control your strength is learning how to control our energy systems. And the more we sit with ourselves and connect with our breath, we're learning how to control and dictate our hormones, our immune system, and our energy systems.
Yeah, I love that. I've got some questions from our friend Austin. It's a two-part question, Will, so I'm going to try to get through the two parts and bring them together. But again, we're talking about Wim Hof and breath holding. So he's asking, do you try to breathe through your nose as fast as possible in Wim Hof? That's the first question. So answer that.
No.
It's mouth.
Okay. Your goal is not to breathe as fast as possible. Your goal is to breathe as full as possible. Okay. Like if you tend to rush your life, you'll probably tend to rush your breathing. In the same way, if you're slow and controlled, you'll breathe slower. Like I breathe pretty fast because I do everything fast, right? And that's my practice, is learning how to breathe slower, because we do one thing the way we do everything, but the goal is not to breathe fast and through your nose. That's something different. That's a completely different type of breathing that'll activate something similar but exciting, but it's completely different. You want to breathe full. So, the goal with the Wim Hof breathing, and that's why it's important to learn how to breathe through your stomach, is to fill up your whole entire stomach, then fill up your whole entire chest, and then just letting it all release and go. And then you're filling up your whole stomach, your full chest. So here, let's do a few now. Okay.
Okay. Go for it.
So let's do a few now. So what I would normally do is 30 to 50 breaths. I'll let it out and I'll hold for as long as I can, right? And you'll be able to hold your breath for a lot of times if you've never held your breath for 45 seconds to a minute. And with each round, you'll be able to go deeper and deeper, because that first round just gets you past that brainstem, right?
Well, that's Austin's other part of his question is he seems like after doing it, he's not really able to hold his breath that long. And that's probably because he's not he's doing it too fast.
Yeah, because he's not getting full breaths, he's getting quick breaths.
Okay.
Slow down and focus on filling up every single cell in your whole entire body. You want to expand your whole stomach, expand your whole chest, fill up like that. And we could start now, everybody, as we go on, start expanding up your whole entire stomach. And then expand your whole entire chest. Breathe in through your nose or your mouth, it doesn't matter. Just fill up everything you got and then sigh it out.
So don't worry about the process, just fill and expand.
Don't think, just feel. Let the mind relax, and your body knows what to do. Just begin breathing. Filling up your whole stomach, fill up as much as you possibly can, then filling up your chest and then letting it go. And keep finding that rhythm. Try to find a rhythm with it. I'm going to start a timer, and we're going to go for 1.5 minutes of breathing, and then we're going to do a max hold, okay?
Okay.
So continue, follow that breathing. Breathe in as much as you possibly can and find that rhythm. Really consciously think about over-oxygenating every single cell in your whole entire body, because remember, that oxygen is alkaline. You're going to be alkalizing your whole entire blood system, and that's when it's able to fight off the disease and fight off of the sickness. There you go. Keep on breathing. Find that rhythm. 1 minute left. And fill up your whole entire stomach. Keep filling your whole chest. And then let it go and release. Good. All the way in. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Keep pulling. Don't force. Just everything you got. And then relax. And just let that breath fall out. And keep finding that rhythm. Bringing it all the way in. Don't worry about blowing the air all the way out. But just letting it fall out. And then bring it fully all the way in. And continue, and this is where you might get a little lightheaded, your hands and feet might get a little tingly. That's okay, breathe into it. That's your body starting to speak to you. This is your way in. This is our doorway in, so continue to breathe into whatever your body wants to speak to you. And trust that your body knows what to do. We got 10 more seconds, really making your best, biggest breaths you've taken all year. The biggest breaths you've taken all year, filling everything you got and releasing with each exhale. All right, let's get 2 more, all the way in, all the way in. Let it go. Last one, all the way in, all the way in. And then let it go. Hold. And just relax. Let the mind settle and just feel. Try to relax all the tension within your body and just let go. And this is when your body can rebalance all of its chemistry. And this is when you're into the deepest parts of your brain. Just relax and be in this moment. Let the mind settle and feel. And the more that we can turn our mind off and just observe, notice what comes up. Sometimes, if we're overthinkers, thoughts are coming. Just let it go and just let it be and feel what's going on. Keep holding. You guys are doing awesome. Keep holding. And just relax into it. We're able to hold our breath because all that carbon dioxide is out. And now this is when our bodies are rebalancing. All right, and when you can't hold anymore, take one big, nice, full breath in. Hold 10 seconds. And then just relax and let it go.
Cameron's going, wow. He feels euphoric.
Don't think, just feel. Notice what came up, and that's one round. That's the way just to get past the first layer. And a full session is 3 rounds. It takes about 12 to 15 minutes, which I highly recommend every single person trying this today. And that's what I do every single morning is I'll set a timer for 20 to 25 minutes, and I'll do 3 to 4 rounds of this breathing, and then I'll just sit there in regular meditation for the rest. But that's when I'll connect with the deepest parts of myself. And the more you're in there, the more you start to learn about yourself and to learn how to rewire your normal thinking and to jump out of your normal patterns.
So let's see, Luca, I see your question and I don't see a name. All I see is Galaxy S10. All I know is that's not an iPhone. I will get to your questions, I promise. Will, let's cover some science real quick, and then we're going to do another breathing exercise after a couple of minutes of talking about the science, because there are some people who just want to know, what is the literature saying? And I'll say from the literature and science standpoint, I alluded to earlier, we've been talking about breath as a centering exercise for thousands of years, but it's only been until really the mid 90s that we started looking at it as a possible therapy to alter disease progression. So if you practice yoga, if you practice any sort of meditation, or if you just like listening to moodful music, breath is a natural byproduct of those exercises. And yoga specifically teaches you about breath, right, Will?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, breath is a huge aspect of yoga. You know, like I'm no expert in yoga, but I love it and I've studied it and I've done it. And I believe yoga is learning how to connect it all together, you know?
Yeah.
And when we bring to our breath, we're connecting our mind with our bodies because so many of us are just stuck in our mind. That's where anxiety is. That's where stress is. That's where the depression and the PTSD, you know, it's all in the mind. And then when we're able to connect with our breath, we're able to connect the mind and the body and realize that we're not just our thoughts. There's so much more to us than our thoughts. We're actually above our thoughts. And we can learn to control and direct our thoughts towards the things that are important to us. It's just a practice. And unfortunately, it's not a normal common practice because, you know, even we're taught in school for it's all the logical, the numbers, fighting against the problems and making these solutions. And that's how we're taught to think. But that's only a small aspect to our whole being, like we are human beings, not human doings. Like we have to be in this moment, and the breath is just the easiest way to just connect ourselves back into the moment because we all know what the flow state is, right? We talk about this all the time. We know that the optimal state to be in, the Olympians talk about it, top businessmen, it's talk about being in the flow state where everything is just working perfectly. And in the flow state, we're not thinking. Everything is just folding out as perfectly as possible. And when we're doing that is just because all of our presence and all of our being is into that moment. And it's past that first layer of that constant monkey brain. It was just a few years ago, 5 years ago, I thought that I always need to think too. And that thinking was the answer to it all. But you don't learn anything from thinking. We learn from listening. And we learn from observing. And when we're constantly thinking, that's our brain talking. We need to quiet down our brains a little bit to really be able to listen to ourselves and to understand ourselves to, really do anything that we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of these studies looked at that aspect of it, Will, that actually not thinking through the process of breath and therefore trying to measure the outcome. Let's do something. So probably the most pronounced study that I could find was done in the Netherlands, actually, and it was published in the Journal of Clinical Rheumatology in 2016. So usually clinical trials, you have to understand the context in which the trial was performed. Most new trials where you're trying to even evaluate any outcome whatsoever is done in healthy male volunteers. So you have to understand, and when you're looking at a study, always know who was in the study and why they were selected. So in this trial, it was 24 healthy Dutch males who were put into a training program over 4 days. It was a group program, took place in Poland, and it had 3 elements. One was, cold immersion. The other was meditation. And then the other intervention was breathing. And we're talking about Wim Hof style breathing here. And, I could go into how the study was formulated and all the numbers, but here are the critical pieces here. And what they did was they challenged these individuals with a stressor. So what they did was inject them with an endotoxin that made their body respond from an immune system perspective, an epinephrine perspective, temperature, fever, blood pressure. All of those things were measured in a control group, people who didn't do those 3 exercises, and then the group where people did the exercises, and see what is the response to stress. And I think that's what we're talking about here just in our daily lives.
Because all stress is the same, like
absolutely.
Stress is the inflammation, and our body takes in, the stress from our days in the same way it takes the stress to our sickness is our inflammation systems blow up to fight that stress.
Yeah, absolutely. So the discussion points here was, although this is a really small sample, I mean, we're only talking about 24 guys, and they're healthy, so they don't have any respiratory illness or long-term disability from chronic illness. What they did find was a general outcome expectancy. The immune and autonomic response was all better in the group where they did the 3 exercises than in the group that didn't. So when you're looking at their response to the endotoxin from a temperature perspective and blood pressure perspective, the people who immersed in cold water, who
Who were doing
meditated
the
and
practices?
breathed,
Yeah.
had better outcomes under stress.
Yeah. Well, because all this stuff, like, we're literally training our ability to handle stress, because stress comes in our life in all different areas, in all different ways. If that's, a sickness, a disease, a virus, or even just, a stressful day. And these exercises, like, we're training ourselves mentally in the same way that when you go to the gym, you put stress under your body to make it stronger. That's what weight training is you're putting that weight to make that chest stronger, or, squatting it to make those legs bigger, or you're going for a run to, put that stress on the heart to make it, healthier and stronger. And in the same way that these exercises are putting that stress on the mind, which is the cold therapy and which is the breathing, and it's teaching our mind of how to deal with stress. And the more that we can deal with stress, the more that we can get out of ourselves. 100%.
Yeah,
And
there's a question from Austin. What is the name of the study? It is in the Clinical Journal of Rheumatology, volume 35, pages 1081 to 1085. And the title is The Role of Outcome Expectancies for a Training Program Consisting of Meditation, Breathing Exercises, and Cold Exposure on the Response to Endotoxin Administration. This was a proof of principle studies that has led to a lot of other studies to try to determine overall which one is it? Is it meditation? Is it cold? Is it breathing? What's the awesome sauce recipe?
well, I think that's a beautiful question, because everything can be a meditation. Everything should be a meditation. Everything that meditation is just a practice of being present. Okay. So when you're jumping in that cold water, or when you're doing this breathing exercises, they're all just practices of being present. Because when we're present with ourselves, we're able to, one, take care of the stuff that may be holding us back, and we're able to flourish and blossom, the stuff that we really care about. And that's the beautiful thing about all this, is it's all kind of the same story, to where like, it's bringing us to that present moment. And there's really no different. That Wim Hof breathing is a form of meditation. Going and jumping in that cold water is a form of stressful meditation. Doing the dishes is a form of meditation. Taking a shower is a form of meditation. Everything that we're doing, it should be a practice that we're doing, and
Hmm.
trying to do it as best and as present and as fully there as possible.
Mindful.
And so many, as mindful as possible, because the more mindful and present we are in our lives, the better we're going to live, and the more we're going to get out of it. And so many of us are caught in our heads, and that's why these breathing exercises are exercises that train us to become present. One, it brings us to the present moment, and then a lot of us avoid the present moment because that's when the things come up, right?
Yeah.
But then when we're in that present moment, then we have to deal with what's going on. And then that's when we're able to understand ourselves and manage ourselves and get the most out of ourselves.
So Will, we've been trucking along here for an hour, and the panel, the attendee list is still here. So I'm going to keep going. All right, do you have enough time?
Yeah, dude. I'm all in on this. I'm all in.
All
As long as
right.
you guys want to go.
All right. So I understand if you guys need to jump off, it's been an hour and we want to be respectful of your time. Again, this is going to be on Will's YouTube channel if you want to come back. But if you've got questions, stick them in the Q&A. And also, I've got a comment over here from Francisco. As a palliative care chaplain, I meet many cancer patients and bone marrow transplant patients. What would be a good breath exercise to suggest to this patient in the middle of their treatment or end of life?
I mean, definitely some serious breath work. I'm no doctor, so I can't prescribe per se, but that type of Wim Hof breathing, it's been shown that to get us to the deepest parts of our brainstem, even deep into our bone marrow as well. You know, just especially there's no better time if it is at the end, just to start to connect, start to go. Like any sort of breath work is going to be beneficial, especially if it's not or before. But I think, for a patient like that, that Wim Hof breathing will get him the most with the least amount of time.
Yeah, I work with oncology patients as a pharmacist. So I think as part of, I know I'm focusing on the drug therapy administration, but I'm also part of a team of people that looks at the patient care, particularly end of life hospice arena, holistically. So it doesn't have to be any specific breath technique. I think meditation and breathing is part of the cancer patient's ability and training to be present in the days that are dwindling down for them, unfortunately. So it doesn't have to be a fancy practice, Francisco. I would suggest any breathing practice, and then if they enjoy it, move it up to the different techniques, all the way
Just
to Wim Hof.
and go outside and breathe too. Get
Connect to the
outside and
earth.
breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting a question, there's Wim Hof breathing. How many routines are there? I'm sure it's endless, right?
Oh, how many different breathing routines are there in the world, or how many do I do? Or, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's 1,001 different types of breathing techniques that'll activate. We have thousands of different buttons and controls in our brain and inside our body. We only know the most very, very basic because we haven't needed them. If you don't use them, you lose them, So we have the artificial light, and we have the air conditioner, and we have everything taken care of for us. So we don't really need anything right now but these three basic ones. But the more that we can go into there, then we start to go into all these different buttons and controls. And by changing your different breathing patterns and different breathing techniques, you can go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I'll say this to Francisco. I think that's such a brilliant question. I think when patients receive a diagnosis, particularly a cancer diagnosis that does not have a cure, control is something that I think is fleeting in that patient population. I mean, they feel out of control, that they're not in control of anything now.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stress and anxiety comes from around that. So I certainly see breathing as an opportunity as part of a meditative practice to gain control of one thing, and that's conscious awareness of your breathing. And then I think that expands into conscious breathing and relaxation, so that end of life is you're fully present.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a beautiful thing.
And I think just being able to connect and use our breath to let go of what was there and to be in that moment, it's going to make that process, a lot more enjoyable as well, is to be able to, because that's one of the most beautiful things that I've gotten from my breath, is just able to process all the things. Because, I did not have the best childhood, and I had a lot of things that built up in my childhood that, these preconceived thinkings that had me doing wrong things and thinking wrong things throughout my life, because I never slowed down enough to process all the shit that happened to me when I was a kid. And then when I started doing this breathing practice every day, all of that stuff that I wouldn't let my mind go to because it hurt, it began to process. And then I began to understand it. And the more I could understand it, then I was able to discover the strengths that, that I've earned from all of that stuff that happened, and through all that whole entire process. And that's the beautiful thing, is when a lot of us never stop and slow down enough to let everything that's going on settle down and process, and let that dust settle, so we can get a clear idea of what happened, to know where to go.
Absolutely. So, Will, I've probably found 8 more studies of some clinical value, all with the same outcome, that whether it was meditation, whether it was breathing, or whether it was a combination of all 3 with cold water immersion, whatever intervention group had one or more of those components, their response to stress was improved, statistically significant. Okay.
Yeah.
So that drove my questioning. Okay, that's in healthy male volunteers, all of them, very small sample sizes. You're a healthy male volunteer, so you could almost extrapolate that data to your life. But I'm not going to do that because I was curious, what about people who do have chronic disease? What does breathing do for them? So I found some studies in patients who are older and worried about longevity. I have studies in patients who have asthma, a breathing disorder that has an inflammatory foundation. I found studies on yoga breathing in patients who are ill. I found studies in patients who have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and emphysema. And no matter what study I picked up, I think the key message here is short-term benefit, meaning day and week, was not able to be seen. So they got the study population, they did the exercises, there was no change in pulmonary function response.
Yeah.
It took at least 4 weeks or longer for the benefit of breathing to impact patients who have pre-existing medical conditions. So again, this is a lifestyle intervention that I think is required, and there must be an investment of time long-term to see the benefit.
Yeah, but that's the process of just mastering ourselves, that there's no better energy spent than learning how to control what's going on up here, and it's like anything, you get in what you put out. But even from one breathing session you will feel better. But it's like, if you just, if you had high blood pressure, and if you took high blood pressure pill, for a week and then just quit taking it, it's not like your blood pressure stays down. Like you have to join that lifestyle. you know you
Absolutely.
know and it's the same way. But if you do have high blood pressure, that's something to figure out, right? Because if you don't want to live with high blood pressure, something has to change, or something has to be figured out. And that's just one example of of many. And like, if you do have a serious chronic illness, we're not recommending for you to go out and jump in a freezing lake, because something is already compromised. First, we have to dive into what's going on and begin healing from that. And in the same way that you don't get the chronic disease overnight, it kind of builds up. It has to reverse that process, and to reverse that process takes time. If you have something that's deep built in, that has been there for a long time, it's, like, you can't expect 1 or 2 sessions to get it out. Like, it takes time to get past that first layer, because I mean, it's like anything. If you're looking for the quick fix,
This isn't it.
this isn't it. But then again, if you're feeling stressed right now and you start breathing, you'll be in the present moment and you will get the quick fix. But it's not going to fix your stress tomorrow unless you do it tomorrow too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I
But
think we're talking two things here. I think any patient with asthma or COPD, if they did these breathing exercises in the short term, they might feel better, but the disease process outcomes are going to lag behind that feeling. So I'm not suggesting that you don't feel better immediately. These studies focused on disease process outcomes, not subjective feelings. So I think you're onto something there for sure, that there's value in the present, like you suggested, and there's clearly value that we have yet to put our finger on and go, this is it. But something's happening with this kind of conscious breathing and disease process outcomes. And it's really intriguing to read. And there are hundreds of studies out there now, not all of them good, but we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, well, I've got some more questions I need to throw at you, and then we will do one more breathing exercise. How about? So the questions are I'm going to combine several. So where was it? Let me go up here. Luca, thank you for that question. And Galaxy S10, I'm going to combine your question. So it's around evening time. So we've seen your morning routine. Do you have an evening routine that incorporates this? And how can breathing before sleep turn everything off?
Ooh, Good questions. Yeah, I definitely incorporate it. And I've been working on my evening routine a little bit more as of late as well. Um, but I incorporate it a lot with movement as well, because we all kind of build up tensions in our body throughout the day because we're doing repetitive movements and we have a repetitive thoughts. And that builds up certain tension points in our body. So I like to spend at least 30 minutes every night just on the ground, breathing into my tight spot. So I'm stretching, I'm exploring what's tight inside my body and just using my breath to relax and release those tension points throughout the day. But if I've had a stressful day, I'll do a couple rounds of Wim Hof breathing, like just to let it go and to let it all out. And then just do some nice relaxing breathing that I showed you guys before, where you're just slowly in, slowly out through the nose, using your stomach and using your chest. And that literally activates when you do those longer, slower controlled breaths. That's going to start turning that system into that rest and digest mode. That's going to have you sleeping a lot better. A lot of us are going from our phones and we're stressed all day, and then we put it away and they're like, okay, let's fall asleep. But it takes time to, I like to put my phone on airplane mode at least an hour before I'm going to go to bed, just to let my mind, because that phone activates that monkey brain, that constant chatter that also keeps us up at night. So we have to turn this down and let our body realize that it's time to wind down, it's time to turn off. And we can instantly spend 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, even more, to just process the day, to be able to go into that night of sleep as productive as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tulin is asking, with the organization of these, if you're going to do cold water immersion, cold showers, and Wim Hof, does it matter how you sequence those events?
I've done both. I mean, just do it.
Just do it, period.
Because I've practiced with both, where I was doing the breathing first, and then the cold, and then the cold, and then the breathing. What I found is if you do the breathing first, it makes the cold a little bit easier because you're already mentally strong. But I kind of like doing the water first, because then it woke me up and I'm ready to get right into the breathing, because a lot of times I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to put in that energy, because it takes effort to do that type of deep Wim Hof breathing. So a lot of times if I'm feeling kind of, I'll jump in that cold water. It gives my whole body that supercharge, and then I'll be ready to do that breathing. So just kind of play with it. Play with your routine and find what you like and what works best for you. But I would just say do it. Just get on with it and start having fun and enjoy feeling really good every day.
Okay. So again, back to the evening routine, at least an hour before bedtime, you need to disengage from input and start trying to control.
It definitely helps.
Okay.
Well, you want to be controlling all day.
Yeah.
You want to be controlling and regulating all day, but a day builds up sometimes, especially if we're pushing ourselves and really trying to accomplish and get the most out of our lives. It can be stressful, or even if we just have a lot going on. You don't have to, but it's extremely helpful, and you'll live a happier, healthier life.
All right. I like that. So Will, I don't see any more questions. I don't see any more comments.
Well, I got a question for them, because
okay.
I got two different types of what we can do. We can do a relaxing, calming one, or we can do one that supercharges.
Okay. Well, I don't have a poll, so just put in the chat box. Do you want relaxing and calm, or do you want the other extreme, Wim Hof, big breathing? All right. Let's see what people are requesting. Extreme. Luca wants extreme, big breathing, Wim Hof. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I have to go now, but thank you so much. Absolutely, Cameron. Big breathing. Okay, we're going extreme, Will. So I tell you what, don't coach us through it. Set it up for us on what you're going to do, and then we're going to match you in what you do with our actions. Just so you don't have to talk during it.
Well, I think we'll get more out of it if I talk you guys through it.
Okay, then take back everything I just said.
Yeah, and besides, the doctor says I got a few more weeks before I can do the push-ups.
Fair enough.
Okay, and that's what we're doing. So we're going to do about 30 to 50 deep breaths. We'll go for about a minute and a half of just over-oxygenating. And this is the one that is really going to wake up the mind and wake up the whole body and give you that supercharge to get everything going. And that breath hold is what gets that oxygen into every single crevice and cell inside your body. It's not actually the deep breathing. A lot of people think that the deep breathing is what gets that oxygen in there, but it actually needs, that carbon dioxide to really get that oxygen into your muscles and into your organs. So what we're going to do is start taking in the biggest, deepest breaths we possibly can. And we can start right now, just like we talked about before, where you're filling up your whole stomach or you're filling up your whole chest and letting it go. And the better breaths and the more you give into this, the more you're going to get out of it. So keep on breathing, filling up your whole chest, filling up your whole stomach or your whole chest, and then just letting go. And don't use a lot of muscle into the breathing, but just try to take in big, full breaths with everything you got. And we're going to go a little bit further on the breathing, and then we're going to have you let all your air out, hold your breath, and see how many perfect push-ups you can do while holding your breath. And that's what's going to push all that oxygen right into all of your muscles. So keep on breathing as deep as you possibly can, fully in, fill up your whole stomach, your whole chest, and then I'll do a couple with you guys. There you go. Really focus on pulling from your whole entire stomach, your whole chest, and then letting go. Keep going. Keep going. Find that rhythm of breathing. You might feel a little lightheaded. That's good. You might feel a little bit of tingling. That's good. Just keep breathing into it. There you go. You got about 20 more seconds. Keep on breathing as deep as you possibly can. Really give it everything you got. Don't be forceful, but just do what your body wants to do and fill up your whole stomach, your whole chest, and then just sigh it out. We got 5 more seconds. Let's go 3 more breaths. All the way in, and then let it go. Start plotting out where you're going to do your push-ups. 2 more. All the way in. Bring it all the way in. Fully in. Let it fall. Last one. Bring it all the way in. Start getting ready to do them push-ups. Hold. Let it out. And do as many push-ups as you can while holding your breath. And during this time, you can count, but put all of your focus on just moving as perfectly as possible. Letting the mind settle. Just surrendering the body and moving as perfect and as smooth as possible. Being efficient with your energy. And when you're done, and when you can't hold your breath anymore, take 1 big deep breath in and then put in the comments how many push-ups you got. That's pretty good.
I want to know who Galaxy S10 is. They're asking good questions and repping it out. Good job, Austin.
Awesome. I got 25 too. Yeah, that's good. And the more you do that, the more you'll be able to handle yourself under pressure. Because that's kind of pressure right there. You're holding your breath and then you're doing something kind of stressful and difficult like a push-up. So you're literally training your mind to deal with a stressful situation and learning how to just relax, surrender into it, and really perform. And I was doing these every day, writing down how many push-ups that I was getting to. And I got up to 70, 80 push-ups when I wasn't even lifting weights. And then afterwards, it's crazy. I wasn't even sore. I just felt really good and ready to take on the day.
Awesome. Wow. Well, good job, guys.
Yeah.
How long was it before you felt changes in your daily life through breathing?
I mean, I felt a little change every time I did it, like when I first did it, like I said, when my brother talked me through a full 3 rounds, because, a 1 round just gets you past the first layer. I really recommend everybody here trying 3 rounds later on, and there's an awesome guided Wim, if you just type in guided Wim Hof breathing, there's a 15-minute video on YouTube. It's so good. I highly recommend it. But I felt better than I felt in years after that first 3 rounder. And then I just began to discover myself a little bit more each day. And, after a true habit of this, after like 21 days of it, I was really getting somewhere and really starting to see myself from outside of myself. And sometimes it was uncomfortable, but I was always growing and I was always learning about myself. So, I mean, if you just go into it as a student, don't go into it as like, okay, I'm ready to get all of this out of it, but just go into it as a student of yourself, of just learning how to observe how you normally act, because we do one thing the way we do everything. Then that's when we're able to really start adjusting, the way we view and perceive our daily life. But one of the biggest things is I was learning that if I wanted to feel good throughout the day, I had to relax. And that's what those breath holds were teaching me, was when the pressure and stress was on, to just relax, use my breath to relax into it and just be present in that moment, and don't let my mind take me to somewhere that I have no control over and that doesn't serve me. Just use my breath to relax, and then I can get a clear perspective. And I was learning that after the first week.
Oh, wow. All right. Oh, Gavin, thanks. I'm glad your Galaxy S10.
But that's every day. Like,
Cool.
get on, like, if you take that high blood pressure pill once a week, it's not going to do much for your blood pressure, like, get into this every day and practice that, or else you're never going to get past that first stage, that first shallow into it. It's like starting any practice. Ourselves are just a practice. If you go try baseball a few times, you're never going to really learn how to swing.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Will, we talked a lot about breathing today. Oh, another question came in. Is it better to do morning breathing while the body isn't full with food so that there's no fullness in the stomach?
You will get the most out of it on an empty stomach, always, in all
Okay.
type of breathing, in all meditation, everything that I understand and everything that I've read and everything that I've learned. You will get because when you have a full stomach, your body's working on digesting. That's where a lot of your resources is. That's where a lot of your unconscious attention is. So if you have an empty stomach, then you can really get somewhere.
Awesome. All right. Hey, thank y'all for coming. I know y'all are having to jump off. Will, we covered a lot on breathing this time. Do you want to cover something else next time? Or what do we want to chat with Will Grant about? Why don't y'all give us some ideas, guys?
Yeah.
Y'all are still here. Do you want more breathing or what?
There are so many good things that we can go over. We can talk about nutrition. We can talk about movement, because I've broken almost everything in my body, and I've learned how to heal. And a lot of it is coming kind of like breathing. I learned my mind was broken and I fixed it through just improving my breathing patterns. My body was broken and I learned how to improve it from my movement patterns. And, it all plays into the nutrition as well, and learning how to grow my own food. So if you want to learn anything about breath, movement, gardening, growing your own food, nutrition, just leave in the comments below. And especially for the people who follow me, you guys know what I'm into and I talk about and what I understand and what I love to teach about. So I'm excited to teach you guys and connect with anything that you guys are wanting to learn,
Oh, I love it. All right. A lot of questions or comments around movement. So we'll do that. And I tell you what, Will, why don't we put a poll up on chatwithwillgrant.com just to
Ooh, I
get some
like that.
specifics around what is it about movement they want to see. So we'll probably email everybody who joined today and who has come to all of these webinars, and encourage them to answer the poll so we can better solve their problems.
Sweet. I'm excited about that. Thank
All
you guys
right.
so much for coming, man. That was awesome. I hope you guys are feeling a little bit better and start practicing this. If I can leave you guys with one thing, just start with 5 minutes a day. Everybody has 5 minutes a day to master themselves. Okay. Start with 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to do the Wim Hof breathing, but just start connecting towards your breath. And if 5 minutes is easy, start to move that to 10, 15, 20 minutes a day. And the more you do this, I promise, especially if we're struggling with anxiety or struggling with that overthinking, the more that we can connect with that present moment, the better we're going to get with all this stuff. So if I can leave you guys with one thing, is try to get that daily practice. And it's okay to miss a day. Just try not to miss two, and then just get that daily practice before you grab your phone. Before you consume anything, take control over your energy.
Brilliant words, Will. So check back on chatwithwillgrant.com. We will establish the new webinar date and time when we can match up our calendars. We got one more question coming in, Will. I'm sorry. I forgot about this and just came in, so I missed most of it. Is it normal to have ringing in the ears during or after Wim Hof?
I've had that too, and I've heard that happen. Yes, it's normal, but you don't want to search for that. Um, it could be a sign of you're just going too hard. Just relax a little bit more. When you're breathing and, if you're flexing and engaging everything, just relax a little bit more. Don't force so much, because I get ringing in my ears too much if I'm really trying to get there. Don't force, just relax and feel.
All right. Will, any last words before we sign off here? Remember, everybody, check your email, check chatwithwillgrant.com to see how to register for the next one of these. We'll just have to see whether it's in a week or 2 weeks. And we want to ask you more about the barriers or obstacles that you're running into so we can better cater to this content.
Yeah. I mean, I'm down to do next Saturday if you are, Edwin.
Okay, let me check with my wife. She might have my Saturday planned for me.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for coming. That's really
Absolutely.
awesome. I'm so grateful to share this experience with you guys, and just start connecting to your breath in every single thing. Make it a meditation throughout your day, to just being conscious of closing that mouth and nice controlled breaths, and get a little breath practice every morning, 5 minutes, breathe, and feel and connect. Enjoy.
Let's do a 7-day challenge until we meet again.
Yes,
Everybody on here.
love that. For 7 days, I challenge you guys at least 5 minutes. 10, 20 plus is even better, but at least, it doesn't matter. Just get into it every day. Before you grab your phone in the morning, sit down or lay down and just connect to your breath and be the student of yourself.
Well, I tell you what I would like them to do. Their phone's got to be on for this, though, Will. They need to either take a quick video or picture of them doing it and tag me, Disrupt Comfort, and tag Will Grant to that image, and give us some feedback on what the experience was like. We'd love.
Let me know how you guys are feeling, for sure, because that's awesome. Like, I love the feedback, because I've been experimenting with this with all my friends and all my family, all the people I really care about, and everybody feels something a little bit different, so it's really cool to get that feedback, and I'm learning from every person's feedback as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, if we can get enough people to tag, how about of all the if we can find the people who do it consistently for 7 days, how about we give away something?
I love that. What do you think we should give away?
Well, they're going to have to be surprised. I don't want to give that away, Will, but we'll think of something really cool to give away. So if you can stick with it and tag every day for 7 days, and tag Will Grant and Disrupt Comfort in Instagram or Facebook, wherever, just make sure you tag us in it. We're going to track those every day.
I'll most likely see it on Instagram. If you tag me on Instagram every day, you're in. You're going to win something. Let's go.
All right, then Instagram it is. We're going to keep it simple this time, and we'll expand it. So Instagram, tag us, and let's see who can get all 7 days, and let's create some dialogue around this. This is impactful, life-changing stuff that is disease-modifying, mind, body, and soul-modifying. So let's go. We've got the time to do it. Let's go.
Better time. Let's do this. Hey, and the old saying, if you don't have 30 minutes a day to meditate, it means you should probably meditate for an hour a day.
Great point.
Have you ever heard that?
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. Will, it is always a pleasure to be alongside you on these calls. Thank you for letting me be on this journey with you. This is awesome.
Yeah, thank you, dude. This has been an awesome time. Thanks for everybody on, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Peace out, my friend. Peace out, everybody. Thank y'all for being here.